and to show up wherever you might be. Um, I also want to invite you to interact with the show today. You help shape the show, and I see your comments. The first place I see them is if you're at creativelive.com/TV. I see those in a matter of seconds, but I do see all of the comments from all those various platforms. We aggregate them, and it's my goal to help elevate some of the top questions, most popular questions, or the ones that I see recurring to our esteemed guests. So look forward to hearing from you. And we're having some folks time. We got DC in the house, Thailand. I don't know what time it is in Thailand right now. Always have a South Africa. Good, nice. Anyway, in short, we're here with a global audience today, so welcome. And we all know that you're here to hear less about me and from my yappity yap mouth here. Our guest, who's chuckling in the background, I hear him over there. I can see him on my. Can't quite see him yet, but well, here we go. Mario Armstrong is the host of the Emmy-winning Never Settle show, the world's first crowd-produced live stream talk with live participation from an in-studio and an online audience. You've probably seen him there before, maybe on Inside Edition, Dr. Oz, Steve Harvey, Rachel Ray. Mario focuses on positivity, motivation, and specific and very tactical advice, which is one of the things that we prescribe here on the Chase Jarvis Live Show to inspire you to take action in your personal, professional dreams and goals. He's an entrepreneur, he's an influencer, public speaker. I became familiar with Mario's work from my dear friend Damon John from the Shark Group. And this new daily podcast he's got called Wake Up and Level Up is an amazing way to kickstart your day. Please, I'd rather join me in tapping on the table or punching. We got Michigan, India, Montreal, all tapping on the keys from all over the world. Mark, welcome to the show.
Chase, man, it's so great to be on with you and Creative Live family. And thanks, Damon, for the shout out and getting me to this point. And look, man, I've been following you for years, been watching all of your stuff, as many people have, for over a decade. And it's always been impressive. It's always been consistent. It always has mattered. And it really has inspired a lot of us, including people like myself. So I'm really psyched for the audience tonight, man, and really humbled and honored to be here and fully present and in this moment and really ready to help as many people as we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And man, all right. Like I'm, listening to the episodes of your new show, and I'm looking at the material that this audience can.
And as a reason for being here. You talk about this in your book. You talk about it through the idea formula and how to break through and get there and execute and amplify and all that great stuff. And it's like we all do have something intrinsic within us that we may know what we have or we may be in search of. But the truth of the matter for sure is that each one of us has a gift. The challenge is understanding if you can uncover it, if you're ignoring it, are you open and aware about it? Are you listening to your intuition? Where your attention goes, your intent goes. So paying attention to your intention. And I think I'm saying all that to say that, society is full of so many different people that have different paths. And my path was not linear. And for a lot of creatives, this should really ring true for you and make you feel comfortable that it will be okay. Like you will get there. So in a quick synopsis, I would say, look, I went to college for communications. I ended up dropping out, not because I wanted to, but because some local thug that was in that community that was in by that campus thought that I was trying to date his girlfriend who was taking English with me. And it escalated to the point where he was trying to shoot me on a college campus. So if you can just imagine your whole life kind of being like you were told to do well in school, which I was a C+ student. So I was happy to just get into college as it was. And then to get into college and finally get B's and B+s and call my mom and tell her, I am a great student. This is the track. I am going to do communications. I am going to be on air. I will do radio. I will do TV. This is awesome. And within 2 semesters of that, having to literally pack your bags and leave overnight because of my life safety. And so from that point, college never worked again, Chase. I never found the school, the university. I just bounced around. I was lost. And so I'm saying all this to say that even though I'm still in pursuit of my best self now and still on a journey, and you look back, I think the most important thing to do is always have your integrity throughout the entire process. Always stay open to allow the flow to help you a little bit. And it's okay to focus, but don't focus so much that you're not able to get some other energy to come in and help guide you along the way. And so for me, it was a really bumpy road, and I had to rely on those things to try to find my way. So fast forward, I ended up finding myself in sales. I then found myself in technology. Once I got into tech, things really kind of took off for me. I self-taught myself how to do technology, how to teach people how to use technology, and that became a good trademark for me. And so I really honed in over the last decade of being known as a tech expert and a digital lifestyle expert to help people understand how to use technology and apply it in their life. And then I just kind of used that model after using leverage to get me on television about tech expertise. Remind you, this is like the time when a lot of people were trying to figure out what an iPhone is and what does it do. And so there was a lot of need, there was a big need for me to explain and dispel a lot of the tech jargon so that everyday people could start to adopt it in creative ways and useful ways. So I did the Today Show, I did Steve Harvey, I did all those shows that you talked about and so many more as a tech expert. And then I said, you know what? Everybody's got grown-up kids now. They got their own help desk. They don't really need me to do the tech expertise like they did before. What's my pivot? What's natural to me? What is right for me? And what have I always been about? And that's been about helping people, being motivated and inspiring. And then throughout this process, we created our own company. It's a husband and wife team. We got 5 people that work for us. So we've seen a lot over the last 10 years. And we went bankrupt in the process. And lost almost everything. I still get kind of chumpy when I talk about it because it was to the point where I was taking coins and putting it in the Coinstar machine in order to get gas money to try to hustle for the next appointment. So knowing what great loss kind of feels like now, and I'm not saying that my loss is bigger than someone else's because other people could have way heavier losses, but that's been kind of the path, and it's been gritty. It's been a lot of hustle, but it's always been rooted in integrity, having good morals, treating people the way you want to be treated, and really being open to reassessing yourself to figure out what you can do. And so today, taking all those years of experience, all those issues and challenges and life experiences, now what I'm all about is helping entrepreneurs with a bit of a hint of focus on millennials of color in entrepreneurship, but being open to everybody, but just knowing that there are some nuances there. And that's been my life dream and my life goal right now, to create shows, podcasts, programs, events, virtual things that help people get the tangible information to move to the next level. So the Never Settle Show is our latest thing. It's up on YouTube right now. We just launched it. It's got 6 episodes. We shot it with a full team. And really produced what we feel is one of our best pieces of production to help people move forward in their life. So sorry if I said it was a long story short, but I was trying to pack it all in really quick.
No, it's all good, man. And so there's 2 different things that were at the end of your sort of arc that I want to embark on next. One path is the path of your focus on helping BIPOC entrepreneurs, Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And also I want to talk about winning an Emmy, because that stumble out of bed and into an Emmy nominated creator, never winner here.
Let's grab one or two of us. Let's bring them up close.
Oh, look at that.
Let's bring them up close.
Love it, man. Love it. So let's, I think the time is upon us to discussion with you today about your recognition of wanting to be in service of the Black community and the people. And I know you've put a lot of time and energy and part into the show, but also in a lot of your other activities. Tell us about how you think of that and the role that it's playing for you right now.
Great question, which happens often on your series. That's a heavy question for me. And the reason why there's such a big pause is because I feel, man, we are in such a delicate time right now. And, it is really showing, it's really uncovering the best humans that are out there. And it's also uncovering the worst humans or those that need help if they want to have help. And right now, there's been so much attention when the thing with George Floyd happened and his death and murder and so many other things. And right now, I see a lot of people still wanting to just get back to some sense of normalcy. And I get that as a human condition or as a human need to get to some kind of routine. But there is still so much pain and suffering that is yet to still be reckoned with and dealt with. And there's this delicate balance. I just had someone hit me up on Instagram in the DM, and she was just like, I'm really struggling with my Black life and pursuing my dreams, because our experience right now, we're still seeing a ton of stuff that's not hitting the news ad nauseum. We're still seeing, just today, Wilmington, North Carolina, there were 3 police officers that are recorded on tape, and they just got investigated by the FBI. After everything that's going on, they're recorded on tape saying, we are going to figure out how we can go kill some NIGGERS. And so this mindset and this hate and this feeling of this weight is very serious. So as it relates to people of color, my goal has been, number one, how can I be an educator? How can I be a tool for empowerment? How can I be a beacon of hope? And how can I deal with the hard issues that may be uncomfortable for a lot of people to deal with, and try to bring more education, more awareness, and more exposure to healthy conversations so that we can get to a better level of equity? And it's not that people of color don't work hard. People of color work hard just like everybody else works hard. It's just harder when your skin color is a reason why certain things happen or don't happen to you. And so getting to a point where, we just met with the team and had a very open discussion about the importance of this balance. And what am I going to talk about? Because I'm not just all of a sudden an activist. Obviously, I'm Black, and I'm actually mixed. I have a lot of other things inside of me that's not just Black. So I think from a people of color perspective, I'm looking for really elevating equity, helping with creativity, inspiration to get your ideas into the marketplace, sharing with you lessons that have worked for me and failures that I've gone through to help you avoid, as well as other people that I have access to. And then, being on shows like yours, man, which is doing incredible work in terms of, no, it really is. This is a big pause moment. And I know this isn't the first time this is being said, but maybe, just like a marketing message, sometimes you need to hear it several times until it actually clicks. A person's purpose, to me, must be larger than the fear of embarrassment. And I don't care if their purpose is building a business and you're afraid of being embarrassed because it might fail, or if your purpose is to educate people about racism and inequality and you're afraid of being embarrassed or maybe cut off by certain people. Your purpose must be larger than your fear or your embarrassment. And what I see in you and others like you that have really shown that it really hits us in a way that you can't really understand, Chase. Um, it
Well,
just, because it's a different lived experience, brother. And I'm an emotional type of dude, man. I put it all out there. I get very transparent and open, and I'm getting a little choked up because, the purpose and humanity needs clarity, and you're providing another path among other paths that are out there to create that opportunity. And when we can have roads that create the opportunity for clarity, and then you get to have that clarity from different voices, it really begins to open up the opportunities of how one is seen and what the possibilities and capabilities are. So someone now may see another Mario in the street and look at that person completely differently because they found out about a guy with an Emmy Award that's got this graffiti jacket on that's on Chase's show. You know what I mean, man?
I'm so grateful for the kind words. I want to put it back on you because I believe that you can't be what you can't see, and hard. I had I was raised in such a way that just like it was established that you would just do this thing and then do the next thing and the next thing. And that didn't come from a bad place from my parents, but I certainly wanted to investigate ways to be different, ways to be better than what was expected of me. And I think that I think that was the bar was quite high based on being white, male, lower middle class, but in the 70s, like advantage, and still found breaking free and becoming the person I wanted to be the hardest thing ever done. And that from privilege, how hard it is, and then to connect with you and other people that we share in common that have been on the show. You are really doing it. You are, again, I got emotional when you're holding that Emmy up there, and it made me remember, like, it's very hard to be what you can't see. And I had looked like me that were doing the things that I wanted to do. And I think that I just want to say thank you and for the courage of going out there and claiming those Emmys and being willing to go on not just my show, but the Today Show and Steve Harvey and all the other NBC and CNN. It has 3 letters. And I'm wondering, was that always a goal, or has has momentum built for you as you tasted the first, whether this was a bit of success or the tingle of fulfillment? Like, was this a goal from an early age, or has it evolved? Has it evolved to be a role model?
It's evolved. There were certain aspects of this that was a goal, but it reminds me in the very first part of your book where you start talking about the whisper of your intention and being able to intuition, being able to listen to that whisper of the intuition, and the fact that whisper of the intuition, that gut, that thing that's telling you what you should go do, even if it's against everything that everyone else thinks you should be doing or you could be doing, but your gut's telling you to go do a thing. It's so unknown. That uncertainty is what really holds so many people back. And it's just, when I hear that question, the first thing that comes to mind was there were moments where I knew my path. Like, I knew what I wanted to pursue. I didn't know how I was going to pursue it. So, really quick example. Several years ago, how it all got started was I was actually reading a newspaper. So this goes back like 15 or so years, reading a newspaper. And I was with my wife, and we were sitting on a beach, and there was an ad in this newspaper. It was from Baltimore, my hometown. And the ad said, host your own radio show. And I was like, honey, when we get back, I'm going to call this station and I'm hosting my own radio show. Like, I had been working in tech companies and tech jobs, and I have been a great tech educator, and I have really built up this this background of tech expertise, but I was ready to now to take it to the airwaves and teach people through communications, the thing that I went back when I went to school for, right? Now I'm finally getting a chance to see an opportunity. I go to the radio station. It's in Annapolis, really small little town in Maryland. The satellite is only going to throw the signal probably a good 10 miles. It's not going far at all. It's an AM station, WBIS AM 1190 were the call letters. And it was like in this little house. And I knocked on the door, went in, and they were like, sure, we'd love to have a show that would teach people about tech. You could have a half hour every Thursday, 12:30 p.m. In the afternoon. And I was like, great. And they were like, oh, and it's just going to cost you $1,000 a week. I think it was $800 a week. So I was like, oh man. So now my sales experience comes into play because I want to be on the air to talk about tech and help educate people because that was a big need, but I needed to get $800 a week to do it. And I don't have that. So that's when I used my sales experience to go find a sponsor. And I got to put together the brochure. I got to put together the kit. I got to show them the satellite map and the reach and all this stuff. And you're out there pitching and you're hustling. I finally get a sponsor, got a few months under my belt. And then the last little twist of the story is I'm still working full time. I'm at a tech company at the help desk, one of the senior people on help desk working. And the radio station was literally about 20 minutes away or 15 minutes or so away from my job. So I would have to sneak out of the office every Thursday early for lunch, eat my lunch in the car, get to the radio station with about 5 minutes to go live on the air, do a little half-hour show that I self-produced, and then hop back into the car and try to creep into the office without being caught. And it never dawned on me that they might actually know where I was if they just turned on the radio. Like, it never hit me that might happen one day. And so that is the beginning, people. It was sloppy. It was hungry. It was fun. It was unknown, it was uncertain, but I knew when I was doing that thing that was it. Now I needed to get bigger. How do I get to FM? How do I get to a bigger station? How do I get syndicated? How do I then parlay that into TV? And so I would rinse and repeat a lot of what I call working from free to fee, where you basically are enabling yourself to walk into opportunities where you offer some value or something for free in exchange to getting whatever you need. I needed to get on TV. So I said, hey, I'm doing this radio show. What if I package the segment? And I did that for free for you every Thursday, and we called it Tech Tip Thursdays. And they were like, yeah, you'll come in for free and do a 2-minute segment. I was like, yeah, but inside, it's like, yeah, because I want to learn how to do this TV thing in a live arena. And so that process validated, those small steps kept giving me validation that, yes, this is something I like. This is something I love. Now I have to figure out, how do I really monetize it? How do I really make a business out of this? How do I really get really expert at this? And what do I need to do in terms of knowledge, in terms of resources and access to really help it grow?
I love these gritty early stories. So
yeah, it reminds me of you when you were just like, yeah, I'm not going to do that doctor thing, right?
Yeah, man. And I'm telling you, I'm like, I remember when I decided that I want to do this photography thing, like sneaking in, doing anything it took to be even close to the action, not actually even technically in the action. There were the actual photographers, and then there was me, the poser, just like,
right,
glomming on to the sticking my camera through the fence, and your story reminds me of so many others who've been on the show, that the early world is gritty and, as you said, nonlinear. And I think that is something that keeps so many people from going to the second step. They'll dip their toe in it, and then they realize that they're not on the inside right away. And that you leaving lunch, showing up there, thank God it was radio, because you had some sandwich in your teeth. And giving you a shout out, Dr. Vibe. Mario's been one of the major positive influences in my life over the past 5 years. Giving you a shout out, Eduardo.
Good people.
People from all over the world are recognizing that, wait a minute, what I just learned from Mario is, that sounds more like what my life looks like. wondering, to keep this the momentum here, other things in your life were felt different or were different on the inside than what it looked like on the outside to others?
Man, that's a really great question. I think I think a lot of times, you know what this really makes me go to? It really makes me go right to Dr. Festinger's social comparison theory. And social comparison theory is this human thing that we all do. We compare socially, whether you know you're doing it or not. It's kind of innate to who you are. The difference is whether you're doing upward comparisons or you're doing downward comparisons. An upward comparison is one that can be inspirational, someone you look to that gives you inspiration, that motivates you, maybe has exposed you to something that you're interested in doing and is showing you models of how you can get it done and potential that you can do. Downward comparison is when someone has to be beneath you in order for you to feel above them. And so it's also right off the bat a negative energy, but it also means you have to belittle someone, whether mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever, systematically, in order for you to feel more superior. And so I'm saying all that to say that I think a lot of times people compare it to your question. I think people think Mario's made it. Mario's doing just fine. Mario's good to go. Like, I think the appearance of comfort and easeability, I think, can really confuse people on their own potential to pursue their dreams. Because if you start to naturally just look at someone but not know their backstory or the process of what it took them to get there, it's easy to make perceptions and assumptions about where you think they are. And so I think one of the things that, people may not know is that we're still struggling. Like, we're still in the hustle of the struggle. Like, we literally had a meeting today and we said, we've been making great impact for people. And this year, what we're going to do is we're going to focus more on profitability. That was a hard thing to kind of really digest, that because a lot of times you can kind of you think you're taking your eyes off the ball, or that these things are mutually exclusive, that you can't, have great impact and be a good person and also want to be able to be profitable, right? But when I went to Richard Branson's island, got invited to his island, and I heard him say profits, people, planet. He makes the money, invests in good people, hires them, and gets the right people to execute, but then also be a good planet citizen. What can you do, whether that's fighting racism and inequality or LGBTQ, or whether that means taking care of the earth in a more real way. Without the profits, so I think that's a thing that maybe a lot of people look. We've had successes. There's no doubt about that. And we have been able to make some money and have a great quality of life. So I'm definitely not dissing the blessings, but I think there is a level that we haven't attained yet or reached yet, and a certain amount of people that we have not hit yet. And the universe can't help you if you're standing still. So to your earlier point, it's, if you feel like you can't get to that next step, hopefully you're hearing that we're still in those steps. I'm still in those steps. Okay. And I bet Chase is like in those steps, and I'm looking at Chase like I'm socially comparing. Check this out, right? Shit, man, Chase is already, are you kidding me? Chase has been doing Creative Live for X amount of years. He's got an educational platform that's reaching millions of people. I would love to be able to hit just a percentage of that, right? But a few years ago, you were saying some similar stuff too, right? And look where you are, and you still are looking at other people, and you're like, yo, I'm not even where I know I can be yet. So I think it really is confusing to people what they see, but what they may not know. So through your show and others, it's really revealing to a lot of people what the work really involves and what the process really looks like.
Well, to me, what is often not understood, and you just absolutely laid it home, is like everyone thinks and feels. It's not necessarily about not being enough, because I think there's a lot of the folks that I think in order to show up in the way that you do, you have to have a certain amount of respect for yourself. But that this idea that there's work to be done and is very, it's hopefully reassuring to anyone who's listening right now. And I will echo your sentiments, Mario, that, you know, I try and find a way to live in the present, but I have to have some ongoing motivation. As you said earlier, the reason, what's your why, what's your clarity, which is what I want to get to in just a second here. And I don't know anyone that's been on the show that doesn't have that. And to me, this is an important topic for us to talk about because I believe that when all of us look at others, there's this understanding or belief, rather a false belief that they've got to figure it out. We're all just on, right? And we're all trying to figure it out. And, I think, you talked about simultaneously, being grateful for the blessings, but wanting to move forward. I couldn't underscore that enough. I feel like that is a really important piece of the puzzle that most, remember, the way I like to think about it is remember when you wanted what you, because the chances are it probably wasn't all that long ago.
Yep. Beautiful.
You said one word about 5 times so far, and it's a question that has come in from Dr. Vibe here at the creativelive.com/TV link. And Dr. Vibe says, one of the things that Mario has taught me the most is the importance of clarity. And having heard you say that like 5 or 6 times and be crisp, you're crisp in your articulation of where you've been and what you want to do. How, is this something you're very cognizant of, or is this just embedded at a fundamental level in how you think and operate that you don't even recognize it? Is it very intentional? And if so, talk to me about clarity.
Great follow-up and add on to that question. No, it is very intentional. It is not natural. I was not the poster child for clarity. In fact, I looked more like the poster child of just like, split personality, multiple projects, probably not too focused. Oh, he's got too many things going on at the same time. Oh, he's he's great at being mediocre at a lot of things as opposed to being great at one thing. So I don't think that I was that I wasn't that person at all. And so it's been very intentional. And man, to even hear you say like it's challenging for you to try to stay present. It's challenging for so many people, even those of us who practice the rituals daily. Like I'm practicing daily, both, I'm strong in my Christian faith and belief in God, but I'm also very strong in my Buddhist principles and Buddhist spirituality. And so, that development of clarity took time. Look, man, if this can help somebody, that my wife and I, who is the CEO of this company, and we've been happily married, people ask me, what's my definition of success? And I'm like, it's harmony, like being, just having harmony around me, like being the best father that I can be to my son, being the best husband to my wife, being the best entrepreneur that I can be, and being the best teacher that I can possibly be, an educator, and balancing those things in harmony. And when I think about clarity and vision, we just sat down and just said, you know what we're going to do this summer? We are going to sit even more still and open ourselves up to allow more things to happen. Here's the craziness. You think like, wait, how can you sit still and allow more things to happen? If you aren't moving, how can things get to be moving? How can people? And so that's where this push and pull comes from that confuses so many people. Here's what we're doing. In this quarantine, COVID kind of environment, lots of unknown, lots of uncertainty, we decided we were going to focus on one particular thing, and then we were for 80%, and then we were going to split the 20% across one other additional project that we will quietly and lightly work on, and one other little thing that we are just going to explore to see where that kind of takes us. And so what we mean by sitting still is we have cut the hours that we're working. We're taking Fridays completely off. We are allowing ourselves to be more open in the actual now so that we can better ourselves and actually open ourselves up to other possibilities. Because what happens when you open your energy up, you allow other things that you may not notice or recognize to come in. How many of you get into a shower and you get a ton of ideas? How many of you hit the bike and you get a ton of ideas? So you already know like where you can create those ideas, and where if you can sit still in that kind of moment, you can start to understand that you intrinsically have the power to create an energy around you where you'll still be fed, you'll still eat, you'll still hustle, but you'll do it in a much more mindful way. We call it the mindful hustle. How can we hustle mindfully? And so this is one part experiment to see how this really flows for us, but it's also something that's deep rooted in our practice of clarity and mindfulness to get to this point. And it's very it's not something that's it goes against what you would normally think an entrepreneur should be doing or could be doing. And so that's why that word comes up so much, because in this time, this is the moment for you to reassess. People have read Chase's book, and it's given them ideas on how they could create a new business, or to finally make that leap, or they've seen a video of yours, or they've gone to a Creative Live class. Like, people know, like, you right now are in a space where if you really understand that nothing's really happening, you have no real control over this uncertainty. And since it's so uncertain, this is the best time for you to do rapid acquisition of skills, rapid acquisition of self-assessment, rapid acquisition of where do I really want to be? What do I really want to do with my family? Who are the stakeholders? How do I get my family to really believe in my idea or what it is I want to do? Like, this is that time. You really won't ever have this kind of time back again. And so I'm hoping that, we are listening to our own advice and will prosper when things get back to whatever the new normal is, because we have taken the time to sit still during the best opportune time to reassess yourself.
Love it. All right, you have, as I articulated earlier, I will restate now, you have, in your series Never Settle, you have an episode named Dreams Have No Expiration Date. What do you mean by that?
That there are a lot of people that right now could be watching this and they're saying, you know what, I'm not 20 anymore. I got obligations. I got bills to pay. I got kids that need to go to school. Tuition's hitting me hard, whatever those challenges may be. And my point with this is that a lot of times we forget that, the biggest secret that successful people don't want anyone to know, you alluded to this earlier, but the biggest secret that successful people don't want anyone to know is that we're all figuring this out as we go along. Like, nobody has the answers. You figure it out as you go along. And so in that same lane, dreams have no expiration date because you're still figuring it out as you go along. So the minute you put an expiration date, or the minute you have decided, I'm no longer going to pursue that idea or that dream, you have effectively told the energy and the universe and everything about your existence that is no longer important to me. I mean, you can't even get the reticular activating system, which is a part of our brain, to even focus in on opportunities. For those, I'll give you quick shorthand. For those that don't know what that is, that's when you say, I'm thinking about getting that new Toyota Corolla, that red Toyota Corolla. And all of a sudden, all you see everywhere you go now is the red Toyota Corolla. That's because you've told your brain you have a very big interest in that, and that's a priority. So now your brain is filtering all the noise that's in the world, and it zones in on that red Toyota Corolla. Now you see it everywhere. You never saw it all before. Now you see it everywhere. So what you tell yourself, you are actually saying, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. This is who I want to be, or this is who I am. And that is projecting energy outward. The minute you say the inverse, here's who I don't want to be. Here's who I don't want to accomplish. Here's what I'm going to give up on. You're telling the universe that same story as well. So I just think that dreams have no expiration date reminds people that it's never too late to do the thing that you feel that you should be doing. Goes back to your point of, the creative calling. The callings can change, and it's okay. They can develop, and it's okay. But here's what's, when something's important enough to do it, you got to do it even if the odds are against you. Like, and I think that a lot of times, direction can appear out of disruption. You allow the disruption to be used in a way. You talk about using fear in your book. You talk about using fear. I say use fear to focus. You don't run from the fear. Actually, when fear happens, your pupils dilate, everything gets serious, your mouth gets watering, you get tensed up, your body's actually zoning in. So it's your chance to actually now grow to a new level because you're zoning in. So I just think that dreams don't have an expiration date, and that's because failure is never final. The only thing the only definition of failure in my book, Chase, man, is if you don't try. Like, otherwise, for all of you that maybe tried something and you feel like it didn't work, you know what, man? You know how many times I tried a TV show and it didn't work, and then I had to repivot, and then I had to let me be straight up honest, man, real quick. I was like, yo, I am tired of pitching this show to get distribution. Like, we've worked so hard to create such a polished product. Like, are we really still having to do this right now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you would think at a certain point, like, you get the phone that would call, you got a couple Emmys, the emails are going to come in, like, it's going to happen. And all I'm saying is you have to constantly be committed to yourself, people. Be true to yourself. Don't let yourself down. And don't worry about the haters. Worry about the people that actually believe in you. We spend more time focused on proving our haters wrong instead of proving our supporters right. You got people that are rooting for you, and you don't want to believe in yourself. And so, man, dreams have no expiration date. Failure is not final. And I just really wholeheartedly believe that, look, man, look at Stan Lee's example, right? Like, people think Stan Lee made it. Stan Lee didn't make it until he was like 50. Like, he didn't even start making it until he was like 50. The woman that created Build-A-Bear, like, everybody, if you know the little Build-A-Bear shops everywhere, the woman that created Build-A-Bear started that idea when she was 49. Like, 49, she was working in retail up until that point. So yeah, it's a reminder, and it's a call to action to not give up on yourself, and that expiring your dreams is doing a disservice to all of us, because now we're not getting your potential and we're not getting your gift.
Mm. You said this earlier. I want more depth on it. You said from free to fee.
Oh, yeah.
What does that mean?
That means standing outside of your ego and removing pride and ego to the side, recognizing what you want to accomplish for yourself. Notice, in order to do that, Chase, you gotta have clarity, right? Like, what do I want to accomplish for myself? Well, I gotta have clarity.
Hold on here. Yep.
So once you have that, then it's easy for you to see how I can offer some value from me to someone else for free, because of what I know I will get in exchange. So your job is, if you are trying to break into a new area, if you're trying to pivot, if you're trying to take your side hustle to main hustle, if you're trying to go from photography hobbyist with a few clients to really blowing this thing out, you need to understand, what are the next steps? What do I need to acquire as skill, as knowledge, as opportunity, as networks, resources, people, and where does that stuff exist? Okay, now that I've identified that, what can I offer those things that I'm prioritizing for value for free? Even though I charge $3,500, even though I charge 15 grand, even though I get 35,000, like, do it for free, because you know specifically what you are going to achieve from it. And the only way that works is when you're upfront about why you're offering something for free and what you need in exchange. And if you don't feel comfortable having it verbally, put a MOU together, get that memorandum of understanding, put it on paper. But that's been a model for what I've done. Anytime I felt like I needed something that I didn't have access to, I would try to figure out, how can I bring value to that thing that I need for free, legit value to that thing, in hopes of getting what I needed from it. And so this is the same thing where people say, I don't want to do any more public speaking for free or whatever. It's like, okay, but that's fine. But do if you're saying I want to become a great life coach, or if I want to become a great motivator, or if I want to become an on-air type of communicator, public speaking is important. So the clarity would then say, yes, I would like to get paid, but on that particular one, that audience is more important to me than getting paid. Getting seen by that audience and to deliver a message to that audience is more important than me making the money from that audience. And so that's, to me, how you can take this from free to fee. The fee will come. And not to be like just build it and it'll happen. You have to think with your profitability in mind.
The clarity part, right?
That's right. But that's what fee, from going from free to fee means. It's the ability to step outside of the ego and really saying, I need something and I'm willing to give some value for something. I find that there are so many adults that have conditioned themselves over time that they close that door because they feel that either people are taking advantage of them, and in some cases they are, and that's legit. But in a lot of cases, it's just because you feel that you are owed a certain level of expectation and something that you would like to get from that. And that's not saying that that's not justifiable. It's just saying if you have a picture of where you want to go and that particular opportunity is coming to you and it's not coming to you with the way that you would like it to come to you, hopefully you're thinking bigger than that short-term thing that's in front of your face. And so I think that from free to fee is more of a mindset and a theory of how can I acquire the things that I need by offering value to someone else for free and removing my ego from it.
Amazing. Thank you. I remember, I think it was on your Instagram feed. I remember seeing something about most people quit just before and I was wondering if you could talk about that.
Yeah, man. It's like, I say this, I say, you hit the roughest part when it's the easiest time to quit. And if you can just you hit the roughest part when it's the easiest time to quit. So if you're in the roughest part, this is the moment when it's the easiest time to quit. So more than likely, this is the roughest part. You can go up from here. It probably can't bottom out too much more than where it is. And so I think, ambitious people need boundaries. When you have a dream or when you have a desire or when you have a focus on something that you want to achieve and you're being ambitious about it, I believe to a certain extent, ambitious people need boundaries in order to, number one, take care of themselves mentally and build up resilience for the journey. But also they need to put boundaries around them because their ambition can blind them. You can be so ambitious that you can make hasty decisions. You can be so ambitious that you could do somebody wrong. You could try to take a shortcut. You could try to cheat your way through something or not be fully committed to something. It's ambitious people need some boundaries. And so I just think that when you hit these rough parts, these guardrails are there to keep you focused and to keep you in line. And when you hit the roughest part, just know that your roughest part is probably someone else's blessing to be where you are. It's hard to think of that. And this is why I really want people to do one of the things that I try to share with people is something. It's a family practice that we've done for years. And it's called the 3 wins. And the 3 wins is every single Sunday, we go around the table or we pick up the phone and call relatives. We're known to just pick up the phone and be like, okay, it's 3 wins time. What are your 3 wins? And we'll call our aunts and cousins and other people and put them on speakerphone or on Zoom. We've done that too. And the 3 wins is a moment for you to reflect on your past week and to really identify 3 things that went well for you that week. Because when you're in the roughest part and it is easy to quit, there was still something that went well that week. But you've overlooked it so easily because the pain of this roughest part has blinded you from seeing the things that actually have been a blessing. So it could have been a great meal that you had. It could have been a phone call with a friend. It doesn't have to be we won an Emmy. It doesn't have to be some huge accomplishment in order for it to be deemed a win. It just needs to be a win, because what I find, Chase, is that most people can come up with maybe one or two, and then they're looking in their phone to try to figure out what they did that week that was great, or they're trying to, because we are wired to know what we haven't accomplished, not wired to have gratitude for what we have accomplished. So if you're dealing with that roughest part, I would say start with that 3 wins practice to try to help remind you that you are still winning and that you still have potential, and that other people are doing worse than you are. So keep going.
Yeah, it's also true that when it gets hard, and there are a lot of things in business, like getting from like, the $10 million mark to something more than that. In Major League Baseball, getting to AA is super hard, or whatever
Yep.
sports or business or life analogy you want to use. And you know what? That's when most people quit. So if you can push through that part that is so hard for you, outside of that threshold, I mean, I've consistently found this with photography. It's like, you had a sale, or you made some money, or did a big campaign, and that's where people are high five, and that's when it goes dark, because you're like, oh, you were just like used by that big high profile thing, and people don't want to touch you for a while. And what I find is that well, it's basically a re-saying what you said, is like this, just the keep going part is such a crucial part of being an entrepreneur. It's a crucial part of believing in yourself. I don't know. You don't, if you're quitting when it gets hard, right? You don't.
No, man.
That's not how the game works.
No, and you have to set your sights. All of this doesn't mean that you don't set your sights on a prize, or on a direction, and on a path, and on a very specific goal. You can get into affirmations. All I'm saying is, one of the things that I would like people to start doing is removing some of the attachment to exactly how that needs to unfold. So have your goal, have your dream, have the thing that you see. Like I often say, like, dream far, but focus near. All that means is knowing what the vision is out there and afar, but also reverse engineering what are the small, very small steps that I need to start making in order to get towards that very big dream. Because just looking at that big dream is incredibly overwhelming to me right now. And now I got a bunch of angst, and I feel anxiety and all these other things, and stress, and my cortisol levels go up and all this stuff. And so breaking those things down to really, really small pieces, I think, is critical. And having a goal like the Emmys was a goal, but I was open to how we would get there. I wasn't so concerned on not being able to allow certain energy to come in and help me find the flow to get there. But I can tell you this: when I walked into our first production meeting, and I mean, we're on a shoestring budget, and there's like 10 of us in this production room, and I go in there with this like 30 pages in a packet, and I put it down on the conference table, and I say, this right here is the packet for the Emmy Awards. And I just read through twice every single thing about this whole thing, what's involved, and I said, and we're gonna go for an Emmy. We didn't even have the show concept down, bruh. Like, the show concept wasn't even fully baked yet. Like, all we know is that we got the green light because, oh, get this, Chase, man, to do my first show, to do the first season, we couldn't afford a studio. So once we realized that, oh, a New York studio is going to cost me $286,000 to be able to have for like a week, and I could try to do a bunch of recordings, each day by going to Chelsea Studios. I was like, we don't have that money. Like, what? We barely got $30,000 right now. Like, what are you talking about? So then I started thinking, all right, what about using a company's lobby that has enough space where that maybe they do events, and that where we'll bring in the set, whatever that is, and we'll do our interview session and everything like in their lobby. So then I called VaynerMedia, and I went over there and checked their place out, and it didn't work out for the size they had. And then I ended up calling this other company called Canary, and they had a beautiful space. So they let me use their lobby of their offices where we could fit 40 people in seats in folding chairs. Our director and my producer was in a damn broom closet. That was like the control room. It was we built the set, put it up, and then broke it down as if we weren't even there. And then we gave them a shout out in the show in exchange for being able to use the space. Like that's what it takes, man. That's how you get to like, they don't happen because I had the money. They don't happen because I had look, I was being told no when I was on the Today Show. I'm pitching my show idea to NBC executives that pay me to be on air on NBC. So they love me and they're still saying no to the idea. So you have to have an enormous amount of belief in yourself. You have to surround yourself with people that believe in you. And you have to seek out people like Chase, myself, Chase's guests, and the content that he's producing in order to fill you with that substance and that sustenance, because we don't cultivate resiliency in this society. What we cultivate is really from a young age teaching people to win. Like, I don't know about you, man, but I played sports as a kid, and it was all about winning. And I've learned the best from all my losses. I didn't learn jack from anything I won. I learned everything from what I did wrong. And so when we can now get to a mindset where we don't see failure as a bad thing, that it's actually a learning mechanism, and it's actually, we're supposed to take risks because that's the only way we can learn. And by doing so, we build up resiliency so we can take the next hit and the next hit and the next hit. It's just like doing push-ups. But the only way to build resiliency is to go out there and try something, get knocked down, and get back up. So, yeah, man, I think, we've had that dream, and we went for it, but we weren't attached. I was not attached to getting the Emmy more than I was attached to doing a good show that was going to help people.
You talk about mindfulness a lot. I have a wife who's a mindfulness teacher, and
is that right?
Yeah, Kate teaches mindfulness, and I like this idea, this sort of yin yang. You got this like the mindful hustle, and I think people understand the hustle part because it was long glorified and and
right.
Yeah, I think the mindfulness part is misunderstood, and stillness. I'm wondering if the stillness stuff that you talked about earlier is that the full picture of mindfulness, or if you could just maybe share a little bit of your thoughts on mindfulness, because it's a missing piece of the conversation for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough place to get to, and I'm certainly no expert at getting there, but I've worked a lot on building intrinsic awareness and trying to get to that understanding. In a short definition to me, and different people will have different definitions for this, but for me, it's getting to a place of neutral. It's a natural state. So mindfulness to me means I'm neither desiring a goal, like I have a goal, but I neither desire that goal or am attached to that goal. Like I sit in a place of neutrality, in a place of a natural state of saying, I would love to be able to go and try to do this thing or create this impact. But at the same time, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'm not attached to it. That's a very weird thing to tell an entrepreneur or a creator, because we've been conditioned to say, well, wait, I thought you said you were going for that thing. So then that means you got to do every single thing to focus on that thing. And there is a level of focus that is being done. Being mindful doesn't mean I'm not being focused. It actually means the opposite. I'm being very focused. But what it also is saying is I'm also not so attached to that desire or to that specific outcome, because I'm trusting that even if I pursue a particular thing and it's with good intent, that it is going to reveal to me along that journey what it is I'm really supposed to be doing. Because guess what? Your dream may not be big enough. It may not be big. Chase Jarvis did not know that he was going to be having a multi-million-dollar education online company when he was running around trying to figure himself out, running around with a camera. Like, he just wanted to be a photographer. Come on, man. It's like, this is what, but when you have the intent of then realizing,